Hello and welcome to the Women in Motorsports F1 Academy Miami Race Recap. I'm Joe Samaniego. With me, we have Emily Sharp, and from Chaos in the Paddock, Esha Bajwa. A big thank you to our Patreon investors, Colin Michelle, Mark Robin, David, and Matthew for investing in the Grid Network each and every month. Link in the video description, and of course, YouTube Super Chat. Buy me a coffee. We'll appreciate it. Thank you on the air. And of course, a big thank you to everyone that subscribed, like, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our programs because we got a busy weekend. Well, Raw, we have IndyCar on Saturday. We're going to do a NASCAR preview on Saturday evening, Tanner and I. So let's recap the F1 Academy weekend, which unfortunately was cut short. The race weekend in Miami, race 2 was rained out. So this has left several questions, including the potential of a future race to make up for this race. We saw this last year when the final run became a 3-race weekend. One potential weekend that could stand out is Las Vegas. Las Vegas normally only has Formula One. You don't have the other feeder series. This year don't have F1 Academy. Emily, Esha, do you anticipate an announcement of a makeup race?
Yeah, Joe, and just before we jumped on the air here, we were all saying what an exciting racing series this has been. And it makes it even more devastating that we only got one race from these women this past weekend in Miami. As someone who I know everybody loves hearing from me, who went to the Vegas race last year, it was an event, it was an experience. So I can certainly see them wanting to take advantage of the glitz and the glam and making it a triple header for these F1 Academy drivers. But I was looking at the schedule, and you're welcome, F1 Academy. I'm about to solve this problem for you. So, our next scheduled race is in Montreal with the F1 Academy. That's not until June. Obviously, the F1 Academy season finale is already slated to be in Vegas later this year in November. Looking at their schedule, if we wanted to have that second race rescheduled, there's a bit of a lull, a bit of an opening in
Ooh.
July. I'm going to propose Susie Wolf take it to Silverstone in honor of the 75th anniversary of
Ooh.
F1. Um, Take it to Silverstone. We haven't seen these ladies drive at that iconic circuit since W Series. Um, have it be a sprint race, throw it into the schedule. It's the birth of F1. I'm here to solve your problems. We're going to talk about more what that makeup race can look like in terms of logistics and starting order as our show goes on. But as we've said, this is such an exciting championship. We thought it was going to be Doriane's to run away with, and Maya is still holding on to the lead. Chloe Chambers, Nita Gaidman, Alicia Polmoski have been really taking the hunt. Give us a F1 Academy in Silverstone. Isha, what do you
Yes.
think?
Yes. Yes, I that you cooked really hard on that one. F1 Academy in Silverstone will be a great opportunity because there's a bunch of motorsport fans in the UK, and that's where a lot of these young girls have their start in motorsports. With karting, there's so much karting opportunity over there across the pond. Yes, I do anticipate a makeup race if they can fit it into Montreal. That'd be really great. My one kind of like big like about this is we're not going to see Ava Dobson again, which kind of sucks. I don't know if somewhere in her contract will say she'd be able to attend the makeup race and qualify for the makeup race, but it was a not so hot opportunity for her, and I apologize. I'm sending my apologies out to her now. I'm sorry you missed out on your second race and being able to show more of what you can do in F1 Academy. But yeah, I see sometime soon. This is not something new F1 Academy did. We did have a makeup race last year. So I think we're able to fit that in with how short F1 Academy is compared to a main F1 race. I definitely think we'll be able to fit in the calendar somewhere.
Emily, I love that idea of Silverstone hosting the F1 Academy race weekend there. Like you said, it's like a paying homage to the past 75 years of F1 and the future and having them present there, showing how the sport has evolved over the 75 years. So now it's like, hey, we want to have more opportunities for female drivers in the motorsports, the growth of the female fan base in Formula One globally. I just think that would be a brilliant idea, and I'm hopeful someone from the FIA is watching this, makes that happen, especially Susie. That would just be phenomenal. That would be
If
great to
Susie
have that.
watch this, I think I would just the biggest smile on my face. I don't know what I would do. I love you, Susie, so much.
She has done a phenomenal job with F1 Academy since the first season, and really, I feel this is just one of the best series when it comes to a points battle. Of course, in our standings, all the drivers highlighted with the green numbers means they could leave the next race weekend with the points lead. For Alba Larson, she will literally need to win both races, claim the pole, the fastest lap, and have nobody score ahead of her. So mathematically, she got a shot, but it's an uphill battle. But still, to the thought, you have your top 5 drivers all potentially leaving with the championship lead. This second reason could have been a huge shakeup because we had Maya Weug qualifying was in the wet. She qualified 10th. Doriane Pan 3rd. Chloe Chambers, of course, on the pole, claiming 2 points. 2 points for a race that got canceled. Now, Maya Weug leads Doriane Pan, who won race 1, by a single point. Chloe Chambers is only 9 points behind. Esha, was the council race a missed opportunity for Chambers and Pan?
Yeah, I definitely think so. We saw Maya Weug climb really high, starting P10. Even though in the reverse grid race, her standing still done because it's a P1 to P8 reverse grid. But the way she was able to climb in race 1, it was pretty amazing, and I probably would expect her to climb that same way in race 2. If that happened, if it wasn't raining, all things considered. Yeah, it was kind of, I was kind of sad because I was kind of hoping for a Chloe Chambers win in Miami at home during the Star Spangled Banner. My inner patriotism is coming out if you haven't noticed. But honestly, I was watching this race and I was like, if I was in my regular road car driving in those conditions, I would pull over and cry because especially driving in machinery like an F4 car, an F1 Miami car, F1 Academy car, my apologies. It's definitely hard because you don't have the same systems that we have in our road cars. And I was like, they got to stop this. And there's a continuing doing formation laps. I'm so happy and sad. It was kind of bittersweet seeing this race canceled, but I think for everyone's safety, even if there was a missed opportunity there, it should have been canceled, and they definitely made the right decision.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Isha. At the end of the day, as disappointing as it is to have not seen the ladies take the field for a second time out, every time safety is the number one priority. And at the end of the day, if if they're being overly cautious and it means that no one is involved in a avoidable accident, the right decision was made. Going back to your original question, Joe, I agree with Isha. It certainly was a missed opportunity. Looking at Doriane in her first race, wow. She she gained 3 or 4 places like before the end of the first lap, and then was in the lead by lap 3 or so, if not 2. So she was definitely on to have an incredible weekend. And with all that being said, I do want to call out that she was human. She was reachable. Alicia Palmowski, she was bringing the fight to Dorian Pond. She was like closing the gap in. On that long straightaway, if she was really looking like she was going to make an attempt to take a lunge at the lead. So as great as Dorian had, commanded and picked up those places to end up winning that race, I do think had we had a race 2 and she start in 3rd with the faster cars in front of her, with Chloe Chambers taking pole and managing the lead, I don't know. I don't know if Dorian would have like swept the weekend with both wins. I think to Isha's point, I think we missed out on hearing American national anthem. I really think that this was a missed opportunity for Chloe. She did get 2 points in the end for taking pole out of race 2, but to your point, she has a 9-point deficit. bold statement. I do think she would have been our championship points leader, if not tied for it. I think she I really think she could have won race 2, seeing that Doriane was reachable in race 1. So, yeah, I think the lack of race 2 impacted Chloe's championship hunt more than it impacted Doriane's.
Yeah, and I just wanted to follow up. I just wanted to quickly look up the race 1 results. My Weug climbed from P10 to P4 and just shy of the podium. And I felt like for I know we're talking about Chambers and Pond right now, but I honestly think if there was a race 2, I feel like my Weug would still be able to climb as high as she did in race 1. Also because without the reverse grid, her championship rivals were not going to be there, and I feel like a lot of these girls understand who they're racing against and who like we saw with Kimi Antonelli in the Formula One Academy race. No, not Formula One Academy, in the Formula One race. Him knowing that his race wasn't with Oscar Piastri, I can see all these girls who placed like from P9 to like maybe P5, I guess, understanding that, oh, this race is not inevitably for me. Maybe I'll let Maya go, but I'll definitely give her a little bit of a challenge. So that was another missed opportunity for Maya in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a missed opportunity. Overall, you bring up a good point about how Doriane Pond, she wasn't invisible. She was being chased down, but it's just interesting because, of course, Doriane Pond, 6th place to claim to win. That's the first back for the inverted race field somebody has come back from to get that win. She becomes the first race winner, repeat race winner. She won race 2 in Shanghai. And some people really thought Doriane would just be dominating, maybe on a level like Abby Pullen. We're not seeing that at all. 3 podiums in the first 5 races of 2025. Esha, was Miami the kind of performance that may anticipate from Doriane Pond from week 1? And is this a sign she will be hard to beat for the rest of the year?
Yeah, sort of the way she was able to climb up and get P1 in the reverse grade race. Anyway, I'm completely forgetting where she started on the reverse grade, but being able to climb up and fight for P1, that was pretty amazing. Yeah, this is definitely a sign that she is going to be hard to beat, but we're also have so many other people in contention. We have, like we keep saying, Chloe Chambers and Maya Weug, also up there with Doriane Pond, giving her the challenge. As we alluded to before, this is like one of the major racing series this season where there's a really big like points championship change. Anything could happen. Yeah, and also to go back to your point about Abby Pulling, I feel like if there were no reverse grids in this season, I feel like it would have been an advantage for Doriane Pond because we did see her being pretty close to Abby Pulling, but again, with the reverse grid setup for race 1, that harmed her a little bit, but also it provided us with great racing. So that's a coin toss right there on about the reverse grid setup. But yeah, I think she's going to be pretty hard to beat, but there's others coming up for that challenge.
I do just want to bounce off of something really quickly that you said, Esha, about Abby Pulling. Going back to the discussion earlier, if we get a makeup race, if they decide to do a makeup race, I hope we've learned from the Abby Pulling incident last year. And if they do it somewhere down the line in the calendar, they're doing it in a place where it's like not going to turn into a situation where we crown insert 2025 F1 Academy champion's name here. We crown them one weekend, and then the following weekend we have the makeup race scheduled, because that just was, a very poor look from the series last year. Yeah, just not a great move. Obviously, I think Abby handled it incredibly maturely and with grace, and she did end up retaining her title. But going back to that point, I just want to say, like, if it that they're going to reschedule that race, whether it's in where I'd like it to be in Silverstone or at the end of the season, or if they tap it onto Montreal, like, let's make sure we're not crowning a winner and then uncrowning them for 24 hours. I will say, Joe, Isha, um, I think I think it's hard to predict how the rest of the season is going to go for Doriane if we look at it exclusively from the Miami lens. She was not invincible. Alicia Palmoski was making a charge at her. Feldemeyer had an unbelievable overtake. She got overtaken by Doriane and then took it back, which that to me was like the first sign of like, oh, Doriane is like reachable in this race. She's not pulling away like Abby pulling last season. She doesn't have this massive, you know, and significant amount of pace in comparison to her um, competitors on the field. She obviously has an incredible wealth of knowledge and experience, which I think is, lending her championship skill or leading skills in this season, but she is reachable. So if we look at the rest of the season through the lens of Miami, I don't I don't know if she's going to run away with this thing. I think it's really going to, I hope, because it makes for great racing, I hope it's going to come down to the very last race in Vegas to see who's going to pull away from this, because Maya does have a 1 point lead. It's short, but Dorian is not in the lead. She's not winning every single race. So yeah, I'm really excited. I cannot wait for Montreal, because I don't think that this is just the Abby Pulling Show 2.0 with Dorian Pon in her place.
Yeah, this is definitely not the Abby Pulling Show, as you said, version 2. This is one of the best championships, probably the best championship going on right now in major motorsports, because again, 5 drivers within a shot of getting that lead when we go to Montreal. Now, leading up to Miami, Maya Weug had all podium finishes, which is very impressive, of course, in any series. Well, that streak ended with race 1, but 4th place finish, just 1 position shy of keeping that streak going. She's going to be entering Montreal with just a 1-point lead. And Montreal has seen its fair share of weather. Rainy weekends when F1's there. Of course, F1 Academy will be there with F1. And that's where we saw qualifying the wet in Miami, where Maya came in 10th. Emily, is wet weather race a potential weakness when it comes to Maya compared to the other competitors?
Wow, weather has made so many appearances this season so far. Obviously, a little bit more with F1 than the F1 Academy, but it is just, I mean, on top of an already interesting season, now we're throwing rain into the mix. I think based off of Maya's qualifying, she should be doing anti-rain dances in Montreal to keep that weather away, because it did seem like it was a weakness for her. She did not have a good qualifying. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Certainly was a missed opportunity. Dorian looked very strong in the rain. So hopefully she learned some things. Obviously, it's a completely different track than Miami, a completely different layout. Grip is very different in Montreal in comparison to anywhere else on the season. But if I was Maya, I'd be in the sim, I'd be practicing in the rain, because based on how this season has gone so far, expect the unexpected at this point.
I completely agree with you there, Emily. One thing I do want to say about the Miami GP, it's not really prepared for rain. There's not a lot of infrastructure on the racetrack. I just do want to say that racetrack is built on top of a regular parking lot, so it doesn't have the same kind of rain mitigations as permanent tracks like Montreal has. Montreal, we're known rain is going to be there. Honestly, I was so shocked that people were surprised about rain in Florida, but I digress. I think for Montreal, it's not going to be as bad because there's a lot more infrastructure for rain in Montreal compared to Miami. But yeah, just by number standpoint and how she did in qualifying in Miami when it was a little bit rainy, I think it might be a little bit of a hindrance for Maya. And with how the season's going, being a championship contender, Like you said, Emily, like put some time in the sim, turn on that rain to a little higher than normal just to be prepared for any situation out in Montreal.
You bring up a good point, because when we saw the heavy rain, there was a lot of puddles, standing water, where Montreal,
Mhm.
most tracks, the water will run somewhere. They're designed to have that. Not so much in Miami. I mean, even caught Charles Leclerc out right before the sprint race. So, I mean, catch the best of anybody. And like you said, that's a big of a burn was we didn't get that second race. Totally, the safety was the right call, because those pace laps you just could not see, and
Yeah.
the puddles everywhere. That was just treacherous conditions. Just really unfortunate situation for Chloe Chambers, especially. She's the only other driver to have 4 podiums in the first 5 races. Her stat, though, 2 second place finishes, 2 third place finish, and of course, missing that first place finish, which she came close to at Jeddah. Potentially, Miami would have been the big one. Esha, she's a bit behind in the points, 9 points away. Does Chloe Chambers have more confidence knowing that she could have easily had 2 main race wins, but if it wasn't for that penalty and potentially a win in Miami, was had the weather not been there?
Honestly, I'm gonna say third time's a charm. Obviously, the first time she was close to win was her fault for the penalty pushing. I believe was it Maya Woog off the track. But the second time around, it was purely just because of the rain and the conditions on track. So I feel like with this being the third time, she's gonna be able to get a race win. I'm still gonna say she's gonna win in Montreal. She did really well in a rainy qualifying session, putting it on pole. I'm just gonna expect rain at Montreal at this point. Yeah, I think she's gonna have a lot more confidence because she was just so close, especially between Jeddah and Miami. That penalty was like not really was her fault, but um, with race 2 really not being her fault, I think that confidence is still there. She did nothing wrong. No one did anything wrong. It was purely safety. No one could really drive. So I think, yeah, her confidence is still going to be there for a win in Montreal. Putting it out there now.
Yeah, looking at last year, obviously they did not go to Montreal last year with the F1 Academy. That's what I'm just looking up right now. So she would, she has the experience from last year under her belt. This is her second season in F1 Academy. It is the great equalizer that she has not competed on the Montreal track before in F1 Academy. But I'm with Isha. Like, she is like really knocking on the door of having a win. She did what she needed to do. She put herself on pole, obviously starting in 8th place in race 1 because she was the fastest in qualifying. But she got herself onto the podium, and she has just been like knocking on the door for having it all come together. So if I were her, I would feel an immense amount of confidence knowing that she has pace, she has speed, she has experience. And you know what? She probably doesn't have all of the pressure that Doriane Pond has on her. So that is certainly, in my opinion, an advantage that she can just focus on doing her job and potentially not have all of the media circus behind her going like, oh, like, are you going to be the F1 champion or Academy champion this year in comparison to the struggles that you had last year and trying to get it done? So she's certainly, as we've been saying from the beginning of the season, a dark horse in this championship hunt. And at the same time, if I were her, I'd be feeling just like so frustrated that that penalty, cost her some points. Because she could, like I said, if she could have raced race 2 in Miami, not had that penalty in Jeddah, in my opinion, from where I'm sitting in my home in Southern California, she would be our championship leader right now.
Yeah, Chloe Chambers, knock on door, as you said. I think she's gonna get that race win. She's showing the pace. She has come a long way from that first season in W Series when she was partnered with Jamie Chadwick to where she is now. Very exciting to see her just keeping up there with Doriane Pond, Maya Woog, and of course those drivers. they have scored points in pretty much every race. When you look at the point stands again, you gotta also add in there Alicia Palmowski for scoring a point in every single race. Alba Larson, Ella Lloyd, both of them 5th, 6th in the standings. They had scored points, but their streak ended at Miami when neither one scored points. Now, Canada, Montreal, that will be the halfway point, assuming there's no change in the number of races. So we would have been at 6 races right now. Canada, the first race, you're halfway, then the second race would have been the second half. For the drivers, especially, I'm looking at Alba Larson, who consistently up there in the points, but has not gotten that podium. Ella Lloyd had a big mistake at the start of race 1. First corner locked it up, was done for the day. Emily, is there extra pressure to score points and go for more podiums entering Montreal?
Yeah, yes, Joe. And I think you have identified, but she's been, finishing in the points, doing kind of a consistent job at flying under the radar. And then Ella Lloyd, she obviously had a huge successful moment in Jeddah, but then followed it up with a hugely major mistake in race 1 of Miami. And to me, that mistake that she had, she just was overambitious. She wanted to get her car to the front of the field, was kind of not using her best judgment. Again, in my opinion, from my home in Southern California, not a professional racing driver. But she just got too hungry, wasn't thinking straight, and made a really overambitious move, which caused her to lock up. So I think these two drivers are feeling a lot of pressure to kind of get themselves back on track, and especially Alba to start, turning these points into actionable, take away strong podium results. Someone else that we've continued to talk about, Alicia Palmowski. I'm feeling like she's probably feeling a lot of pressure too, because she's been showing that she has pace. Man, like she almost had Doriane in race 1, and sorry to beat a dead horse, but I think that she's someone who's feeling incredible pressure, not just to finish on the podium, but to get another race win under her, because she's showing that she has pace this season and is someone that we should be including part of this championship conversation as well. Curious to hear what you think, though, as well, Esha.
Like, there's going to be extra pressure. Like you said, Alicia Palmowski, she is, I currently think, like the highest placed rookie right now in Formula One Academy. And seeing a rookie doing that great on top of really great championship contenders, as we've been saying, like Maya Weug, Doriane, and Chloe Chambers, there's definitely going to be a lot of pressure for all these girls trying to keep up with those 3 women. And yeah, there's going to be extra pressure because they are in a really, really good spot. It's just pushing it further so they could get those podiums and eventually more wins. So yeah, let's see what they can do in Montreal.
Montreal is going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that race weekend. Such a great track, produces great racing. F1 Academy has had great racing. Times a bit physical between drivers, but overall, very exciting championship battle going on for the championship for the drivers. 1 point difference between first, second, with third only 9 points behind. Of course, we'll be previewing the Montreal weekend, following all the F1 Academy news and all the motorsports news involving women right here on the Women Motorsports program. Before we close out, of course, this is time for our shining moment. We encourage everyone to share their shining moment in the chat room or in the comments. Esha, starting with you, what is your shining moment?
I think one shining moment this week is just how well everyone was able to manage in race 2, because yes, we did see some spins, some hydroplanes, but the way that everyone was able to keep everything on track and make sure everyone was okay, it was amazing to see. Because like I alluded to before, if I was just driving in my road car on the road and that amount of rain came down with so many puddles on the road, I think I would cry. I would probably be going 5 miles an hour on the highway, but the way in these in this type of machinery, being able to keep those cars just safe and everyone is just safe. That's my one shining moment, and so happy that everyone is okay.
I agree with you, Esha. Just hats off to everybody who just managed that intense weather so flawlessly. I was watching them when they were just sitting on pit lane, waiting to see what the fate of the race was, and I was thinking to myself, like, I would be so miserable just sitting there in the rain, like, and like I can barely handle nature as is, and they're waiting and trying to stay in the right mindset and to go, you know, uh, do an incredibly intense race. Just so impressive. But my one shining moment, you knew I was going to bring her up at least once. Nina Gaidman, she went from 13th to 5th in race 1. She was the third fastest in FP2. She moved up to 8th overall in the championship standings from her Miami race 1 outing. So obviously, I personally was rooting for a podium finish for Nina, for a little of redemption, but we're going to keep rooting for her heading into Montreal. But happy to see that she had a productive outing in race 1, and hope that she continues to make those positive strides the rest of the season.
Two great moments. My shining moment is going to go to the driver that, of course, won race 1, Doriane, reverse grid, brand new for F1 Academy, and she is the driver that came from the furthest back, Sid, to victory. I remember at the beginning of the season, we were talking about how will it be that easy to work your way towards the front? These cars are quite a bit equal to F4 cars. Those races have been phenomenal to watch, just giving us new storylines, new plot twists in the Points Drivers' Championship, and overall, Doriane Pond being the first repeat winner of 2025. That is my shining moment. Of course, we got a lot of racing left to do. So, of course, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss Grid Life pre-race and the Grid Life wrap-up show on Sunday when we wrap up everything about 90 minutes after NASCAR. Grid Encore on Monday. Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports every Wednesday, and we'll do it all over again right here. We'll be recapping Haley Deegan's last 2 races. Of course, they're racing today, Friday at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and of course, Barber Motorsport Park, and plenty more right here on the Women on Motorsports. For Esha and Emily, I'm Joe. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time, and enjoy the races.